We're here. Another episode of Salient Points. This one's 62. Let me click around here. Give me a moment, guys. Give me a moment. Me, Carlos Macias, back on the show here. Salient Points number 62 for March 29, 2022. I'm here, the Master of Ceremonies, as we've called it before. We got Deo Blas as well from up in the Bay. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me again.
And we also got Luis Mendez on the Wheels of Steel. I believe you have a higher percentage now than Dalen, Luis, I
My
believe.
percentage is going up
Yeah.
now, yeah.
Yeah, so Dalen, he has some important things to take care of. We should be seeing him next week. He was hoping to join us, but he was like, can we record at midnight? And we were like, you know what? We kind of have to wake up early. We kind of have to figure some stuff out. But we'll miss Dalen for sure. We're probably gonna shoot some digs at him though, for sure. He's not gonna escape. He won't escape out there. But we'll see him next week. Luis, did you want to tell people why you missed last week? I don't know if you want that out there. We didn't say anything in case you didn't hear the podcast last week.
What happened? Oh yeah. I decided to try shrooms for the first time on Sunday, and that was a bad idea.
Okay, reasonable. Okay, so it was a good one though, right? It was a good one. You're here.
Sunday was great.
Yeah.
Monday was I was useless.
So Monday you were dealing with the consequences of full 24, 48 hours or however long after. I know math. I can get it together a little bit, I think. Okay, so look, real quick, there hasn't been too much big happening in the video game world, but we do have a couple of news here. I did want to get to this point last week. I don't know about you guys. I'm not really a big Oscar watcher, the Academy Award stuff. I kind of skip around it because there's always something a little wacky that happens. This time, something really wacky happened. If you guys were watching it, Chris Rock did make a joke about Will Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. I believe he was he made it wasn't the greatest joke. It was kind of a wacky joke, right? But they were both laughing, Jada Pinkett and Will Smith, after the Chris Rock joke. And then a few seconds later, Will Smith does go up to the stage and kind of smacks the crap out of Chris Rock. At first, if you guys were watching it live, like I was, I was kind of skipping through it, but I was like, wait, that's got to be like a skit. That's got to be like a part of a thing or whatever. It's like, oh, they kind of blocked out they censored the broadcast. You couldn't hear for a while, and I was like, oh wait, this might be for real. And I looked it up and I was like, oh, it is kind of for real. There's supposed to be like a police report happening, all kinds of stuff, but Chris Rock declined to do that. Will Smith did win the Academy Award for Best Actor, and he apologized, but not, 10 minutes later, right? But he didn't apologize to Chris Rock himself. He apologized to the Academy, which is interesting. A few hours later, the Academy was like, we condone this kind of violence or, any physical altercation type of thing. And that they're going to open up a formal review, which is like, what formal review? I mean, we saw kind of what went down. About a day later, so this is on Monday, Will Smith did come out and apologize to Chris Rock specifically, and he said his behavior was unacceptable and inexcusable. It was kind of interesting, though. It was a little, yeah. What do you guys have some thoughts on that, Dale? You got some thoughts on like kind of what went down, I guess?
Yeah, like I don't know. I was watching it live. I was watching something else while eating, and then I just see all the tweets happen. Like while I was like scrolling through, and I was like, "No way!" I thought it was a skit too, and then someone showed me like this Japanese translation of what's going on. Did you guys see that?
There was like a Japanese and Australian, all the countries,
a bunch of them.
All the countries
those weren't censored.
Yeah, and those weren't censored. So then, like, I was like, "Whoa, no way! Maybe that really truly did happen." But yeah, I thought it was kind of messed up. But I do appreciate what Will was trying to do. I don't know if that was the right way to do it, but I get what he was trying to do is defend his wife and his family or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see. When they say review, I thought they were gonna like take his Oscar away or something.
Which it's possible, but I think he's just such a big star, right? That they're like, we gotta take it away. But
there's other shitty celebrities that have won that award and they never took their Oscar away too. So I doubt that it's gonna happen. But
and it was I don't know. It seemed like he was like so much maybe in the zone, right? That he's like, I'm still in the character, which is like months, maybe a year after filming King Richard, right? But he was like, no, this makes you do crazy things. But I was like, I don't know. That was a little kind of like It was like I think it was uncalled for because I think they're both actors, right? And I think maybe Chris Rock didn't understand like either that like what his wife was going through. She has a alopecia, I believe. I think that's the word.
Yeah.
So that, but it's like you're in the spotlight. You kind of have to you take those hits, right? Like you kind of take those hits, and it was very like wow. I actually was a little surprised by Chris Rock, man. He took the slap and he was like, the show must go
Yeah,
on.
and he
The
and he didn't
show.
like hold his face, like he
Yeah,
just like took it. Like if that
yeah.
was me, I'd be like, oh, that would
You
hurt.
can kind of see because we've seen it on the internet, right? But you can kind of see him reaching back as if he wants to react, but he's like,
Mhm.
the show must go on, right? But at the same time, I don't know, dude. I don't know about you guys, but if that happens in real life and some dude just comes up to you like that, it's like, I don't know. I think we're getting down. Like I don't know how
Yeah.
you hold back, right, from getting
If you didn't
smacked in the
deserve
face.
it, then yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
The fist is gonna come back at you.
yeah.
But like I
Eh,
don't know. Will
eh,
Smith like slapped him. It wasn't like a closed fist. It was an open
yeah,
palm. So it's like a more like
yeah.
respect me and respect my wife kind of thing
Yeah.
instead of like a brawl or an
It's pretty
attack.
disrespectful to slap a man, especially like on TV like that. But yeah, and I don't know. I don't know if you guys listen to some of the sports talk, but Max Kellerman was actually like dissecting the punches. Like, oh, that's from his Ali training when he was. But he's like, that's a power punch. That's a power punch slap that he
Wow.
did there.
He
So,
would.
dude, everybody was in on it. We're even in on it, I suppose, a little bit. But it's unfortunate. I know Chris Rock. It's apparently selling out whatever tour he's on. So I was thinking about that earlier too. I was like, this guy must be selling out if he's on tour, and he is. He's selling out because we want to know, right? Like he hasn't said
Mhm.
anything, and at the very least, he decided to like not press charges on him, which I don't. It's probably the right thing to do, right? Because at the same time, it's kind of like I'm gonna press charges and da 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 da. But it's kind of a whole
Like
interesting whole
why
situation.
why like draw out the drama of it
Right,
all? And like
and
that's
he's gonna make money off of it. He's gonna speak about it,
he's
right, on
gonna
his
yeah.
shows. So,
Mhm.
Luis, anything, man, on that before we kind of get into a little bit of gaming here?
Yeah, I just wish he had like a single white glove on his right hand, and as he was walking up the stage, like took it
Yeah,
off and then threw it at him first.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. That would have
that little
been
old school sort of like.
Yeah. Like
that
the
would have been
duel.
a yeah.
Hmm.
That would have been a little nicer, right? It's also kind
Oh
of
yeah,
like a
like the
cheap
last
shot.
duel.
I was like, it is sort of like a cheap shot that he goes up to him because what is he supposed to do? Like, you really don't know. Like, what is he gonna? But I mean, you kind of guess the
Well,
worst
especially
of.
because he was smiling as he was
Yeah,
walking
he
towards
was
him too.
smiling, so
So
it was a little bit of a cheap shot, but at the same time, like I don't know, Chris Wright's like, you see this guy coming up to me, it's like, is nobody gonna stop him? I guess we're getting down, but we'll see what happens. I mean, this is like they love it, dude. They get more like, I don't know if they love it in particular, but maybe Chris Rock, right? Because he's a comedian and he's like, I got slapped by Will Smith. So we'll get into a little bit of gaming here. Luis, this is kind of I think this is one of the bigger ones, which is like we talk about it all the time. And I didn't respond to your tweet out there, Dave. I apologize for that, but I think you said say it, Carlos, or something like that, where I was like, stop logging into GTA. Stop logging into it. Not only does Rockstar not say like, "Oh, it's fine, keep logging in." No, we're gonna do a new subscription on top of we keep releasing this damn game and not dropping GTA 6. So Grand Theft Auto 5 will have a $5.99 a month subscription. I believe it's only gonna be exclusive for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. That's dropping today. Today, Tuesday, March 29th. It's gonna give you some monthly perks. But I'm a little upset by this. I would say Dalen put the camera on me, but somebody put the camera on me. Stop logging into GTA 5. All right, uh,
Oh.
Luis, what is this, man? You're getting you're subscribing to this thing, this $5.99 deal thing.
um, I don't know. I might try it out if
Okay,
one of the months it catches my eye or something.
yeah,
But solely based on the price itself and the value that you're getting, this is if you were planning solely on buying the $500,000 that they're giving you for free per month, that is a $10 purchase in shark cards.
mm,
So you're
okay,
already getting a deal technically there, $4 off, and you get that $500,000 a month, as well as just a bunch of stuff that it's not necessary. It's pointless. It's just bonus stuff. You get unlocked. You get extra vehicles, cars, clothes, whatever. Different businesses. It's just extra stuff on top of your experience. So really, to me, the biggest selling point is just that $500,000, which
mm,
honestly isn't worth it anyway. You can make that money pretty quick in
okay,
GTA. So,
okay,
but yeah, they're understandably getting a lot of heat because people are already every single tweet you go on their social medias or Instagram, whatever, if it hasn't, even if it has nothing to do with Grand Theft Auto, like it's a Red Dead post and they're like, "Where's GTA 6?" So like everything, everyone just wants GTA
Yeah,
6, right?
yeah.
So they're definitely squeezing this lemon for all it's worth, you know?
I do like this is literally they have the white glove, right, that you were just mentioning. They threw it down on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, you want GTA 6? No, let's give you another little subscription on top of this crap. You guys, okay, keep asking for it. Keep asking for it. Like they keep threatening
Mm-hmm.
us, right? But like you were saying, there is some value to people that play it regularly, right? You play it pretty regularly, right? But as
Yeah.
far as like the group of people you play with, right? I think you play with my brother Jonathan and Prue and a few other people. I'm assuming, right? They wouldn't get
Mm-hmm.
this, right? You are
No.
the most likely, and even you are kind of thinking like, I don't know if I want this, right?
Well, yeah, because to me, honestly, $6 isn't anything. Like it's whatever. If even especially if I were to cancel, Deo and I were talking before we recorded this. If I cancel Netflix, it's like, well, there's the money that I was spending
There
on
it is.
Netflix, right? So,
Right.
There, now I could justify it for GTA
mm-hmm.
5 or whatever the case is. But they're doing something. These guys are really like, you know what? We're gonna give them 6 at some point. Fine, let's just charge the people that are there, and well, whatever, man. We ain't gonna do nothing with this. So we're gonna move on to biggest news. Deo, I did. So we're gonna save this one for the singer. Just kind of this is a note for people listening, but we'll talk about this at the end.
Okay.
Fuzzy controllers, just to give a little preview if you guys want to kind of skip towards the end. But we'll move on to quick takes. Like I said, nothing too big. This week we're still waiting on PlayStation, man. So we're kind of on PlayStation Spartacus watch, which is if you guys remember, supposed to be like the Game Pass competitor. But they're not gonna do day one releases. They already kind of said, right? It's supposed to be kind of like a few hits here and there. Like we were talking about before we recorded, and we were talking to Deo about this, was that it's not official from PlayStation, right? But it's rumored. What we have, the information we have, is that the information should be this week. They might even launch it this week. They're saying that it's a imminent release, and this is from our favorite news source, Luis, Bloomberg.
Bloomberg.
Bloomberg. So they're saying that it's pretty much close. It's imminent. I maybe they don't have the name yet, but one of the key things to this is that I think their quarterlies are up. Their quarterly report or something like that is coming up. I think on the 31st. So that's kind
Mm.
of one of the things where the timing possibly lines up. But again, PlayStation hasn't said anything official. We have talked about it before, right? But and so far, kind of from what we heard, I'm not convinced, right? But what about you, Dale? We'll start with you, man. What do you think? Is it dropping this week? Is it by the time this podcast
I
is up? I
I don't
guess.
know. Whenever the Twitter timeline comes across like all these rumors and stuff, I kind of give it a 50-50
Mm,
chance of it being actually true. A lot of people want Spartacus to happen soon,
yeah.
and if this Bloomberg report is pretty accurate, then it should be a good time to do it. It's before like the summertime releases and everything, because the next big PlayStation release is God of War, right? Ragnarok, and we don't know an
Yeah.
actual date for it right now.
I
So
think
maybe they
so.
could fill in that space. If God of War is all the way in like maybe like holiday
Mhm.
2022, maybe they could fill that space with like some Spartacus news or something for the time being, along with their indie stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
because
it's
because they've
I'm
kind
I'm
of
in.
yeah. I mean, they've kind of did Gran Turismo 7, as you know, just dropped, right, and Horizon. So they're pretty much out, right, as far as like with their biggest hits. And what are they gonna do with this too? Is kind of like if they're not doing like day and date, like if they launch with like here's Horizon, here's Gran Turismo. I'm sure like the signups right away, right? But at the same time, people that just bought these things a month ago is like, wait, man, I didn't know about this. I just bought this. I just dropped $120 on it or whatever, right? But it's
Mhm.
like you're saying. I think it would be kind of a good way of showing like, okay, we don't have nothing at the moment, but we will have something soon enough. Luis, what are your thoughts on this, man? We seen this thing this week?
Yeah, and I guess Dale brought up a good point. There's like, I do think whenever something like this comes across the Twitter timeline, there's at least one of those things that's true, right? Like
Mhm.
as far as this thing, the when it's being released and what the thing is. So this thing exists. We know it exists. Whether or not it launches this week, I mean, I
Yeah.
guess who knows. But if someone's saying that, I doubt they like pulled that out of their ass, right? They probably heard whispers from someone somewhere and decided to leak
Yeah.
the info. But yeah, I could have sworn I remember reading something somewhere, and I wish I knew where it was or where I had it, that they were doing day one launches, but for like very select few things.
Yeah,
So I'll try to dig that up.
well, they
But
did, and it was for
Maybe
PlayStation
third
Now.
party or something.
Yeah, it was for PlayStation Now, and I think they did. Was it Shadow Warrior? Was Shadow Warrior 3 that they did
Two,
kind of
three.
a?
Sorry, yeah, yeah.
I think it was 3, right? Like a month ago or something. I think we might have talked about it even, where it's like
oh,
they're
maybe
kind of
that's what it was
where they're
then.
kind of testing it, right? But it's like, what do you need to test? People will be there, right? But I know there was another report from Axios too that they were saying like these subscription services aren't all the way there. Right, I think they were one of the main things they were talking about is that the subscription game services are like $4 billion that they're making, which is quite a good chunk of change. But that's 4 billion compared to like 81 billion total of like you're buying these cartridges or these games. Sorry, we're not an SNES era. The good old days, the golden era, the golden age. People are not buying these DVDs, Blu-rays,
How
whatever you
to
call
age
them. How to
yourself.com.
age yourself? They're like, wait, cartridges. The fuck they talking about at Salient Points right now? Cartridges. But these DVDs and Blu-rays, apparently that makes up about 81 billion, like the entirety of the industry. DLC, blah blah blah. Microtransactions, your favorites, Dale and GT7. It's probably one of those things where it's like I've mentioned it before. I'll just out myself, but how I feel like PlayStation is definitely like they will be forced to go into a game subscription model, right? Or at the very least, like they will be forced to kind of dip in there and do something about it because people on Xbox, they don't want to lose any market share as far as Xbox is concerned. When Microsoft is talking about, oh, we have like we're actually sold 12 million Xbox hardware when they haven't talked about hardware since like the 360 era. There's something going on, right? There's something that's like they're eating away at it enough to be proud of that and to announce it, right? But so we'll see. Maybe this week we'll get some more news. And I mean, I think you guys, it's fair for you guys to be a little skeptical when a lot of this is kind of like the rumor is because they're nearing that like fiscal report or quarterly report or whatever you call it, where they're like, oh, well, they have to, right? Maybe that's the
Yeah.
report, right? Like they have to, right? I mean, it's coming
The
up.
only reason why I'm super skeptical is like everyone, it's like a bunch of like PlayStation fanboys or Xbox fanboys. They just throw a bunch of darts on the wall and see what sticks. And
Yeah.
then so like they like this whole acquisition thing. Well, Xbox started it definitely with the whole acquisition thing because like anything is on the table once they
Mm-hmm.
bought, the big guys.
Yeah.
But now they're all just saying, oh, now From Software is going to be bought by Sony, and there's going to be a report about it this week, or Capcom's going to be bought, or Square Enix, and I'm just like, Jesus, guys, like just whatever sticks,
there's
huh?
everything. There's whatever. Maybe what it is you're bombarded. But I also take it as a sign as you don't respect our favorite news source, Bloomberg, Dale. But that's
Bloomberg.
fine. But that's fine. But that's cool. Next on the docket, maybe something you do respect, Dale, is the Halo TV series is apparently setting record viewership for Paramount Plus. Which, if you look at like their lineup and what else they have, is like, of course, like what the
What
hell
do they
else
got?
is
Like
there to watch?
iCarly and that's it?
Yeah, iCarly. They got iCarly. What is that other one? Melon for the kids or whatever. Melon or whatever that's called.
They
Oh
do
yeah.
have Star Trek. Star Trek
Okay,
is
okay, there you go.
a
Picard,
thing,
right, or
but
whatever. Is that them
yeah,
or is that
Picard.
NBC? I thought that, or they're the
No,
same.
that's Paramount. It's Paramount.
Okay, but the same. Okay, there you go. So, but I mean, Halo, right? Well, all the fans and Xbox gave us a free month. That's how I signed up for it. So I have it at least for a month, to see if Halo kind of convinces me to keep watching it on there. So that's a free month through Xbox Game Pass, and it's weird though. You got to go through the perks. They got to give you a code. It's not easy. It's not easy at all to kind of do it. But if you can figure out, you get about a month.
I was gonna ask you that
Yeah.
because I haven't seen an easy way to get the code.
I had to go on like the Xbox. Like I had to get home, turn on the Xbox, and go to like the perks. Like there's a spot where there's a perks, and it says get Paramount for a month, and they sort of gives you a code or a QR code. Or it should be easier. But I mean, they're trying to get your money, right? They're trying to get your money, right? So they don't want to make it too easy. But I did want to get your thoughts either on the record viewership or if you guys have seen it, kind of what your thoughts are. We'll go with Lise first on this one. Lise, what are your thoughts either on the show? Have you seen it or on kind of like the record viewership that's going on here?
No, yeah, I guess it was kind of more just what you touched on earlier, which there hasn't really been anything else that made me go like, oh, you know what? I will check out Paramount Plus. Like I'll try that out.
It's
So
the
this is
first thing.
probably the one thing that's come out that I'm like, I don't want to get another service, but we'll at least try this one out at some point, I guess.
Yeah, it's
So
services
that's
all
that.
over, dude. Dale, you've seen it? Or have you
No,
not seen it? Oh,
I'm
okay. I
I
see.
no.
That's
It's
why I went second with you because I was like, he's gonna give me something juicy here. But what's going on here, Dale? What's going on?
no, I haven't because like I've been crazy busy and I've set Halo the TV series like on what do you call it to be blocked on all my medias right now because I don't want to
Okay.
get it spoiled.
All right. Got you.
Um, and then and I just want to it's like that's like one of the occasions I just want to sit down and like enjoy it without being like super distracted with anything else that's going
Got
on.
you.
So maybe like
Got you.
tonight. And like
Okay.
I didn't really find an easy way to get that code to sign up for Paramount
Oh, there
Plus.
you
So
get on your
so now
Xbox,
that you
dude.
told me it,
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
gonna go do it like that way because
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to pay for Paramount Plus. Like I like Star Trek. Star Trek is like one of my favorite sci-fi series of all time, and I watched season 1 of Picard, and I was like, oh, that was such a letdown to me. So I don't have
Yeah.
no real other purpose to use
Mm.
Paramount
Yeah.
Plus other
There you
than
go.
Halo, the TV
I
series,
don't know
and
when the subscription is up, but what you could do, I guess, if you want to kind of get as many episodes as possible, is wait. I think they go up on Wednesdays or Thursdays, so maybe wait till
oh,
Wednesday or
they don't
Thursday.
release the
It's
entire
not
thing.
all.
They
Yeah,
only
it's not. It's the
ah
smart way to do it, to
That's
ah.
be
how they get your
honest.
money, dude.
That's
Dude,
how
it's
they
the
get
smart way.
you.
Because at the very least,
Nice.
they have you for what? If it's 8 episodes or however many, or 9, 10, at least they get you for like 2.5 months, right? Like, and people forget. I
Right.
think that's what it is. That is like the sinister thing, I think, about subscriptions, right? Is that people forget. We have all these bills coming in, and you're like, oh, damn, I should cancel that. You're not going to cancel it. More than
Dude,
likely, you're like, oh, damn, I
right.
should cancel that. And just
Like
another
my
month goes
parents
by.
don't have like the technical ability or the the discipline to keep managing all these subscription services and technologies and stuff. So when they
Yeah.
sign up for something, it's just there all the time.
It's there, and they're
They're
like,
just
wait,
like, "Are you sure
yeah.
we were ready to pay for this for the rest of our lives?" Yeah, sure,
Right.
fuck it.
That's
Yeah.
kind of what you're doing, right? That's the decision you made. Okay, Dale. So I don't want to spoil it, so I will. It's good. It's good.
How's the
I like it.
quality? Is the
It's
quality
quality.
good?
It is quality. It is quality. I'm not trying to spoil it. How about this? The first half of the first episode is pretty damn good. It's pretty nice.
I hear.
The
I hear.
second half is kind of where it's like, oh, they're pulling on some sci-fi tropes a little bit. So I hope that's not too spoilery. But it is quality. It is kind of like, oh damn, I'm looking at Master Chief right now, and like in the live
Oh,
action setting.
does he
So
do the thing where it's just like
uh,
I'm Master Chief and
Start with his helmet
he,
off and he puts it on.
yeah, does he do it?
it's do you want to know, Dave? It's not too spoilery, but
I could know. That's fine.
okay, it's not dramatic like that, dude. He does take it off, but it's not the whole like we're gonna see him, especially because we know who he is, right? We knew since
Yeah.
2 or 3 salient points ago, right? Like we knew who it was. We're like we know who the actor is. Yeah, so I think it's pretty nice. It's quality. I think you'll get a lot out of it. I got a lot out of it, and I don't necessarily go into the lore too much, right? But if you get into the lore of Halo, there's a whole bunch of little things, and then you're like, oh damn, that's pretty cool. And like
I
go
I
ahead.
do see like a few like hardcore PlayStation guys that like watched it and they're
Yeah,
like biting their tongue saying like that's actually I really like this. Like
yeah.
they don't want to admit it like
They don't want
openly.
to
Like they'll
give a
say
full throated
like
endorsement of
positive
their
yeah
rant. Yeah,
of an Xbox product, but they're just like wow this is something I could probably get into weekly. And I
yeah.
was like oh okay.
I'd say watch it for free, right? Like I watch it like the first couple episodes. Like I said, maybe like on a Wednesday. Well, check when the thing expires, right? Like the month free. Maybe you want to do Wednesday or Thursday, kind of so you
I'll
get
time
5
it.
episodes. So
Time
you
it
get
right.
5 episodes, right? So you get 5
Yeah,
episodes
for
out of it.
sure.
But I think it is quality. I don't want to give away too much, but it is quality. It's nice. I like it. I'm looking forward to watching the next episode. So we got next on here something a little juicy. Is kind of nice. Activision is saying that they're finally saying, well, we've known it, right? But the Call of Duty install size is pretty quote unquote fucking crazy. So they're saying that Warzone can't get more maps because it's already crazy enough. But I did get a quote, and this is from Warzone's live operations lead Josh Bridge on the possibility of adding more maps. He says, quote, "We want that. We all want that. So there's a technical problem. The install and reinstall sizes are fucking crazy. It's insane, right? Like if we pulled out, Caldera and said, okay, we're going to drop in Verdansk. I mean, this could essentially be re-downloading the entire Warzone game. And this is via Kotaku, spotted by PC Gamer on a video interview with Teep or Teep. I think he's a streamer out there. So they got Josh Bridge on, and that's kind of what he's saying. It's like it's kind of ridiculous for you guys to expect us to be rotating these maps that are gonna you're basically re-downloading the whole game. Luis, you're a developer. You're a resident developer on the podcast here. Is this BS, man? Or is this it's pretty legit? It seems legit though. I guess what he's saying.
No, that is exactly their problem. They didn't think it all the way through, right? Like when they
Ooh, I like
decided
it.
to make Warzone the hub where all of their Call of Duty games connect to, which in its own makes sense, I guess, to keep some continuity of like a free game and then entice players to buy another one to then add on to that free game.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they remove a map, so as it stands, like I think that the last time I saw the full install is like close to 200 gigs. So if they
Damn.
remove a map, then they add in another one, you
You feel
have to
that pain, Dave?
re-download it, right?
Yeah.
Because you're removing
Yeah.
data and then adding new stuff, even if you already had that map at some point, because both of these maps already exist.
Yeah.
So yeah, they can't just like hot swap. So they have to sort of come up with a different solution to maybe re-download them as kind of packages, I guess, off a cloud, like an S3 server, Amazon S3 server or something, and then so you don't have to actually like update your game. It sort of checks for an update when you log in and then downloads it on the fly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's their big problem. And if they did do that, then people would complain that they were switching out every week and you have to update every week to just
Yeah,
get a
there's
new map.
already enough
So
updates, right? Like I know when we were we mainly Modern Warfare, we were playing that a lot, and I was like, I guess I have an update
hmm
every other day. There'd be an update to that game, right?
it's worse on
And
PC, dude. There's
yeah,
more updates on PC. And
Eh,
like every time you update on PC, you then have to reinstall shaders. So like it just
yeah,
adds on to this whole
yeah.
like fuck, like
Yeah,
okay,
that was the
fine.
whole thing. I remember it's like okay, it was like a whole thing when we were all when the whole group of us that played, we were all playing the game. Where we was like, well, we gotta wait for Luis to install the shaders again. He's gonna reinstall this crap again, so we gotta wait for him now. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting, right? To kind of see it explained that way, where it's like, dude, we can't do it. I'm sorry, we are in a physical world. In a
hmm
physical world, and these are the limitations. I guess the only solution would be like we have like 3 terabyte, 5 terabyte hard drives, right? And you're like, fine, this one game is taking 1 terabyte, right, of your hard drive
Yeah,
space or whatever. But other than that, that's what it is, right? You play Warzone or you don't play Warzone, right? Like you're
pretty
making,
much.
you're like, do you want to play it or not? And it's one map. And it's one map, and here you
hmm
go. So we finally got some a little, I do like how honest he was, though, right? It's like it's fucking
Yeah.
insane. Like, what do you want from us? You want us to switch out these maps? But yeah, so that's what's going on with Warzone. We'll see what happens with Modern Warfare, the next one, right? Because that's kind of I feel like that's the one we're gonna kind of get the gang back together for that one. I hope. The next story we have on here, this one's for Deo. So Microsoft is reportedly paid Square Enix $5 to $10 million to get Guardians of the Galaxy on Game Pass. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, it's a game that flopped, so I'm pretty sure Square Enix is like, we'll take it. Yeah, we'll take it. Don't sign where? Where do we need to sign? We got you. Dale, anything specific on this one? I suppose that this like we kind of have a little detail, right, about like how much these developers get paid
That
sometimes.
yeah, that's interesting. I'm pretty yeah, like you said, I'm sure Square Enix was looking at the sales projection for Guardians after like the first like week or whatever, and they're like, oh man, we need to get this on as many services as possible. Anyway, and if Xbox is willing to pay out cash straight up for that, then that's a good deal for them. Why not?
Yeah.
I don't know if a second game will come of that because I started playing the first game and it's wonderful. Like I think it's great.
Yeah.
And I just that makes me think about like all these other third party deals and like day one drops on Game Pass that like how much could they have possibly been
Yeah,
making too at the same time, you
that's
know?
true.
Square Enix is kind of stingy with a lot of their properties. Like they choose certain platforms. They don't like sharing a lot of them
Hmm.
openly sometimes. So
Yeah.
it's really interesting that they charge that much. If PlayStation does that soon, maybe they got a discount on it for their Spartacus program. I don't know,
Yeah.
but it's really interesting that Square Enix knows what they're worth, and they're
Hmm.
they're not ashamed to charge people for that. You know,
But
like
it's
everyone.
it's kind of like all relative, right? Like we don't really know. I don't know if you have a little bit of idea on that, lease. Is 10-15 million to kind of get that on Game Pass? I don't know if you would know those kind of
Yeah,
I
it's not a
have
lot.
details. Yeah.
no.
because I mean, it's a lot for a layperson like myself. I don't know if that's the term I should use or not, but for me, I mean, $10-15 million, that's a lot of money, right?
Well, yeah, I guess it depends
But
on who it's going to, and I don't know the
yeah,
size of their team and the company and all that.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't really know if that's a lot in the grand scheme of things for them, but
But
it's more than they had the day before. So
before they signed on the dotted line for like 90 days or whatever it was. But Dale does bring up a good point, though. I mean, if they're gonna pay 5 to 10 million for Guardians of the Galaxy, it's like, how much did they pay for the Ascent? Which that's a smaller game, but
Yes,
like
yeah.
Outriders, right? Like an Outriders
Yeah.
or something like that. Whereas Day One is like, they probably gave them a good amount, maybe I don't know, in the hundreds or something, right? Like they're like, we're gonna hold on, we're gonna offset some of this. We're gonna offset some of you ain't gonna be big. We're gonna blow it up like that. And then they had Back for Blood, right? Back for Blood was a bigger one, Eternal
That was a big one.
game. So
Yeah.
yeah, they must be shelling out some good amount of cash to kind of get this Game Pass thing rolling. Anything else on that, Dale? Before we move on.
No, that was
No.
just I didn't really hear too much other than that. Any other rumor stuff is, paperwork.
I would not be surprised. So apparently what is it, Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin? I would not be surprised if Microsoft's like, here's another 10 mil, because apparently that's not performing all that well. The new Final Fantasy game, like you were saying, Square Enix is very protective. I think with the Final Fantasy, right? With Final Fantasy, they're like,
With Final Fantasy, yes.
that's not going on Game Pass. But
Yeah.
Origin's not performing all that well, and it's not performing all that well in like multiple ways. We're gonna move that one up. Do we have that one here? Yeah, we'll move that one up a little bit, least. But yeah, so there's another thing with Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin apparently is that if you make the characters bald, the game will perform better. And I'm pretty sure that's on PC, right? Like from what I'm understanding, it's like a mod for the game. Luis, is that really that big of a deal to make your character bald? And it'll make the performance better.
I mean, in general, that makes sense, but like, if it's a discernible difference in performance, then they just need to optimize their hair shader or something.
That's what's going on. It's a hair shader issue. Hair shader
Well,
issue.
it could be a combination of things. The hair shader, it could be the mesh or whatever, or it's rigged or animated in any way. But yeah, in general, you do see that when you're developing stuff and you kind of turn things on and off in the engine when you're kind of working. You're like, oh, it runs better when I turn this thing off. Or like you look at the performance profiling and you're like, oh, okay, this waterfall is like insane right now. It's taking up a lot of memory.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, if it's that big of a difference, then they, I don't know, could probably optimize it a little bit, you know.
Now, do you think that's a sign of like they needed a little bit more time to maybe bug test, or I don't know, whatever, like you're saying, optimizing, or do you feel like that's a sign of like, what the fuck else did they miss? Or what do you?
No, that could honestly just be a very common thing is, well, it's not breaking it, right? And you just kind of leave it in there until you can fix it later. So it could just be that they're like, oh, well, it's performing fine. We could make it perform better, but there's other things we could fix in the meantime. So it could just be something like that.
Okay. Dale, you had
Carlos,
something?
yeah. I didn't read the full article. Is this platform specific, or is it pretty much across all of them?
From what I read, it's supposed to be PC. Like I think it's not a matter of like you just make them bald in the game. From what I was reading, it's a mod. So mod is a PC mod, I'm assuming, right? But that'd be kind of interesting, right? If it's on PlayStation and Xbox, like take the hair off. I don't need it.
Little
I don't
favoritism going on. There
little
might be.
favoritism. There you go. Yeah, right. It's like it's gonna run better on this one. But we'll move on to the next one here. So FIFA is probably no more, or as FIFA as we know it, I suppose. I guess they could license FIFA to someone else. But as far as we're understanding or as far as the internet understands, is that EA FIFA is going to be no more. It's going to actually be called EA Sports Football Club going forward, which for I think the rest of the world I think will be acceptable. I think that to us in the US it's funny. I think, right? Because we know it as soccer and all this, but I think EA Sports Football Club for the rest of the world, which probably picks up a lot of these games, really, we're just a little small speck there. But apparently the FIFA brand was kind of like impeding with other potential sponsorships. One of the things that was mentioned was that like they didn't want Nike in the games, and that was like a FIFA thing. If you want FIFA, we can't have Nike in the game. And I guess EA also kind of wanted to go, and this is a quote, beyond 11 versus 11 and different types of gameplay. So I think to EA, they were like, you're restricting us too much. But I don't know. At the same time, you would think like FIFA's like, you need it, right? But maybe not. Maybe people are okay with like, I don't know. It's a little funny. I didn't really fully too much dig into it, but I'm kind of wondering how the different, unless they make deals with the leagues, right? I'm assuming the different leagues around the world, the Premier League and MLS here. But what are your thoughts on this one here, Luis? That they're kind of doing away with FIFA name.
That was mostly because I was looking at the links and headlines, but I didn't actually click one, so I was just more interested in like what prompted the change because it seems like it came out of nowhere. But
Yeah.
I guess really that's it. They just wanted to
Want
do
their freedom.
they just wanted to do more ad placement and change some stuff around, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Which is it's another GTA type of thing, right? Because I'm sure EA, like with the, what do? They do like the season characters or My League, or I don't know, whatever. The cards
oh
that they
yeah, I
do,
guess.
the my career or whatever type of thing. They're like, we want to make more money. We want to make more cash.
That's
So
yeah, and
allow
that makes
this.
sense, especially if EA is still tied to it
Yeah.
in any way, I guess. But I don't know. I would liken this more to like Staples Center versus Crypto.com, where it's like
Hmm.
nobody's gonna call it EA Sports Football Club. We're gonna still keep calling it
Yeah.
FIFA up until
Yeah.
the end of time. So
Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll see, right? I guess we'll see because there's a Konami game that they do. People call it PES, right? I think it's called, or PES, or whatever it is. So
Pro Evolution Soccer.
right, Pro Evolution Soccer. So I don't know. It'll be interesting, but I think we will see FIFA pop up somewhere, right? Someone, maybe that's who picks it up. Maybe Konami's like, yes, there's our chance. We don't care. We don't want to go beyond 11v11. We don't care about
They don't make
Nike.
video games anymore.
We
No,
don't
what are
even
you
have
talking about?
them. Oh yeah, they don't.
we don't even
But
need Nike.
they'll put FIFA on their pachinko machines, man, or their amusement centers or
Oh yeah.
whatever it is.
Oh my
FIFA,
god.
FIFA pachinko, right? But yeah, that's kind of interesting. We'll see how that goes forward. Like I said, in the U.S., it kind of, I think we do play FIFA. I think it's a fun game, actually. If you guys have never played, that's actually probably the most fun for me, anyways. Simulation-ish type of sports game is the FIFA games, because it's really kicking the ball around back and forth. The next thing we have on here is a Nintendo. It's kind of just being Nintendo. Yet again, they took down some scans of the 1996 Super Mario 64 strategy guide. So Nintendo's like, we're not selling this. We're not even making it available digitally or anything, but we don't like them up there. So they took him down. Luis, you got some thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, I mean, you said it best, and I've been saying it since we've been talking about Nintendo on this podcast. It's like Nintendo's just being Nintendo, man. They don't they seem more determined than anybody in the entire world to remove any sort of like
That's
digital
true,
footprint they've ever created. Like, and
right?
nobody, we all get up in arms like, what the heck? Why'd you do that? If you keep doing that, I'm gonna keep getting mad and not do anything because I'm gonna keep buying your consoles and your games. So,
Yeah.
like that's
Your,
kind of
your evergreen games that
Dude.
are $60 7 years
yeah.
later,
Yep.
right? Yeah, and it's like,
Nintendo
oh,
hates the internet. Swear to
yeah,
God.
yeah. But I think you put it perfectly there, though. At least like they want to erase all like historical significance or digital. What is it, like a finger print or
Digital
handprint?
footprint. Yeah.
Yeah, digital footprint possible. They're like, we didn't exist back there. Why? Because we're gonna resell it to you. We're gonna give you the membership. We're gonna give you the
I guess
sixty
their whole
dollar
thing is
membership.
just like if we can't sell it, then nobody can have it. That's kind of like
Yeah,
how
dude.
I think they approach these things. Even though they don't have any plans to sell it, but the fact that it exists, it's like, okay,
Yeah,
interesting
yeah.
move, Nintendo.
They're they're super wacky, man. And but like I said, look, they're evergreen. We'll keep buying their games at full price, and then
Hmm.
they're like, we're not gonna give you anything in particular. We're not gonna upgrade our services for online, but we're gonna give you Majora's Mask though, and just pay $60 a year for that.
Hmm.
So, and Star Fox and all this other stuff. So Nintendo is just out there being Nintendo. We have the next one on here. Polyphony Digital is kind of set to rebalance Gran Turismo 7. I think that was a little after we published, I believe. But Deo, we published last week. But Deo, and any kind of are you happy with kind of what they have said so far as how they're fixing Gran Turismo 7? As far as the progression and the rest of the stuff.
Um, yes and no.
Okay.
Rebalancing isn't like that big of an issue if you play the game. That's the weird thing. I think people blew up the microtransactions a little bit too much. I
Yeah.
might have done it a little bit too, because I refuse to buy any microtransactions for a Gran Turismo title.
Mm.
Um, the problem is that like it made they framed it where it's really easy to like, instead of grind and utilize all your time, you could just pay like $10 and do it this way, right? So the rebalancing thing, it it's it's a big deal only because like it's making it harder. It's frustrating players. That's what it is. It's frustrating players to try to play the game that they want to play it. Like Polyphony wants you to play it a certain way.
Mm.
It's which is a totally different philosophy with like the four games, which is like, yeah, just play whatever platform you want it on, play for whatever settings and whatever modes, just have at it, just play the game.
Yeah.
And that's what pretty much irks me a little bit about what they've been doing. Other than that, it's a fantastic game. I can't really complain. Well, I do have faults with a lot of the game. Like I have a lot of nitpicks with the game. The problem is that the gameplay is really good. I love like racing around. I actually just finished the main campaign last night,
Oh.
finally, and that took like a 12 hours, something like that. But it's like every other Gran Turismo game I've ever played. That's the thing. Like I was like, I finished it, cool. I've been playing the same game for like the past like decade
We're
plus. It's
talking.
like nothing has changed.
No, man. I'm sorry to tell you, man, but it's been like 2 decades, dude. At least.
Yeah, right.
Like
Yeah,
2 decades, like 20 plus
Swear.
years of Gran Turismo. It's been a good while. But it's like you're saying, it's just a philosophy thing, right? So if you don't get into sort of that philosophy of the game and you're worried about the microtransactions, it's a big deal. Otherwise, just get with it. I suppose get it with Polyphony and how they want you to play it, and you'll be good, right? Is that the idea?
Yeah,
Okay.
basically. And it's like I don't want to dumb down like other players' enjoyment of the game. It's a great game. It's just like I said, I've been playing the same thing for like 2 decades now. Things haven't really changed, and like I feel like there are a lot of quality of life features that they could have been fixing
Like a new
and
couch. They could have given you a
doing.
new physical couch.
Swear, yeah, like,
Yeah.
come on,
Yeah.
put that in the
Yeah.
game, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
I'll buy the MTX for that,
There
but
you go.
they could have been doing that other games, like other racing games have been doing for more than like 5 years now, and it's just like it feels like they're playing catch up. For players that have never played as like a sim title before, like a simulation racing game before, this is a great starter game for that because they teach you everything. Like they teach you how to corner, like how weight distribution works in a car, like how power to weight ratios work and everything. But it's just like for other players that have already played a Gran Turismo title, this might not be something you want to grind all the time because you've done it so many times
Yeah.
in other games like Gran Turismo Sport.
You gotta
and Gran
really
Turismo
love
6.
it, man. I know John. I will give my brother Jonathan another shout out, but I think he was just talking about like I don't want to play any other game. I'm just gonna play Gran Turismo. So you kind of the game is maybe made for that kind of person, right? Where they're like, this is what I want. This is what I want, and it kind of
Yeah,
speaks to you or
right.
whatever it is, right?
Like I
So.
think I said last time I was on, it's like my comfort kind of game because
Mhm.
like I know what's there, I know I'm getting a good meal, and I know I'm gonna enjoy this meal.
Yeah.
I could turn my brain off and just like have at it, but
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't do anything. It doesn't like push any boundaries of any other sim racing game like any other sim racing game does, and it just is what it is. They could try to fix it, and I hope it's
Yeah,
for
but they're
free.
yeah.
That's what I hope.
I figure the guy, I forget his name, but the guy who does kind of Gran Turismo, he's probably like the guy who did the Ghibli movies, right? He's like he just comes into the office, closes the shades, is like, let me do my work. Let me do it. Leave me alone. I'm doing my work here. I'm making Gran Turismo 8. All right.
It's
We don't have the
the
money
same.
for
Yeah,
that. Gran Turismo
yeah,
7 Sport then. We're doing a sport. We're doing another sport now. But yeah, I figure they're just kind of like stuck, right, in their ways of like, this is my game.
pretty much.
This is what, if
Yep.
you're not happy with it, I don't care. I'm happy with it.
Yep.
So next on here, we did forget this one, Lisa, a little bit, but Nintendo
Mhm.
being Nintendo, they did finally add folders. That was a big update last week for the
Mhm.
Nintendo Switch. Why is this a big deal, Lisa? I know you kind of put that you interested in this here, but what do we
Dude,
want folders
Nintendo
for?
has been the worst for me as far as like finding a game that I've played before or whatever. Because for whatever reason, it's like the longest list of things I have because it's included with demos, a game I might have popped in that like I took my Switch to a friend's house or like, oh yeah, let's play this, So like I don't even own the game, and it's just this big ass like just
Oh, that's right.
long list
Yeah.
of columns
Yeah.
of like
Yeah.
everything. Like, damn, okay, so how am I supposed to find this? Um, yeah, I don't know what was up with that because like I want this to come to PlayStation, right? They had it on PS4 and I had my whole like folder set up and everything already. I had
Yeah.
like I had them even named stuff like Wine Wednesday and like you already know or like
Yeah.
just things that
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
knew
Yeah.
were like
Yeah.
Uno
Right.
and Monops and Wheel of Fortune were like in one folder, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just hoping this starts a domino effect with Microsoft and Sony, and hopefully we get those in those consoles as well.
Yeah, so I don't know if you caught that, Dale, but he called Wheel of Fortune. He called it Wheel of Forge. So none of these games that we played back in the day. Well, we haven't played them in a while, but we would play
Mhm.
Monops.
We
We
played
would
Uns
play.
recently.
We would call it Monops. We would call it Unos. We would call it Uns. Wheel of Forge. We didn't call it Wheel of Fortune. And guess what, Dalen? This one's for you, Dalen. It would annoy the shit out of him, out of him, that we would not call these games by their real names. As you've seen him on the podcast, he'll pick on you on the pronunciation. So we were over here like Wheel of Forge. We were was it what's the other
The
game?
one
The
that annoyed him the
Clues.
most was when we
Uh,
said, "Oh, you want to go play Desties?" And he's like, "Desties? No, no, no. That's where I draw the line."
that's where I draw the line. Yeah, he was like, I'm
That's
drawing a line in
personal.
the sand. That's
Yeah.
personal right there. But yeah, so so Nintendo's adding folders. We'll see. We'll get it from PlayStation. You're kind of you kind of organize stuff like that, right? At least for me, it's like I see a mess and I'm like, fine. I'll find it
No,
there. I'll
yeah.
find it
As
there.
much as I can organize everything in my life, I would like to.
All
So
right,
just give
there
me
you
more
go.
of that. I want
Give
it.
you more folders, more options. The next thing we have on here is Kirby and the Forgotten Land is the biggest series launch in UK history. Apparently, it has sold already 2.5 times the number of copies as 2018's Kirby Star Allies did. And I think we talked about it last time, but they pretty much lied. It's not as open world as you think, right? It's just levels, but they're basically 3D world type of
3D.
levels. But Luis, are you kind of, is that a good news, I suppose, right? That they sold this many?
Sure, yeah, good for them. I guess number one selling game in the UK. But like, what's up with all these like weird sort of milestones that they're like
Right?
turning into like basketball stats, where like
Yeah.
the youngest player, 28 years or younger, to score 20 points, 2.1 steals, 8
Yeah.
rebounds,
Yeah.
and played at
Yeah.
least 24 minutes in the past 8 games. And it's
Super
like, okay.
specific.
That's what I
So
was
yeah,
thinking
I
too,
just don't
man.
know what's up with these wacky
Yeah.
like best selling like there was one like a week or two ago, like best selling game in Japan or something. Like, okay, like that's cool, I guess.
Yeah, they're oddly specific. I like them. I like the little so specificity of some of these cell type things. But yes, I was just thinking that earlier too. I was like, everything is outselling. And I was like, wait, but there's more people in the world. I was like trying to justify all these little stats. It's like, but there's more people. There's more people playing
There
games.
are.
There's just a bigger base to draw from. The next thing, we'll keep it Kirby. We'll keep it Kirby for a little while. So bear with us, I suppose. But Kirby hit detection, I thought this was a little interesting just based on kind of like a background of it. But apparently Kirby's hit detection is not based on like where the character, like your character is physically. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm probably wrong, Lise, but so it's not based on the character if they're actually hitting. It's actually more based on the camera angle. So based on how the player is looking at Kirby, if you think it's hitting, he's gonna hit the enemy. Is that like I don't know if how does that work? I
Yeah,
guess is that really that
from what
different
I
from other
saw
games?
on those, um, sure, I think so in a sense, but I think every game or app does this to a certain extent for a lot of things. It's just cool to see like, and I specifically search for this kind of information, like how do devs do certain things. So I like look up, live streams or whatever. But yeah, that's definitely a solution. A lot of it is just like illusion. Whatever feels right or whatever looks right, as long as it feels like it's doing what you want it to do, then that's the right solution. And that's kind of what they landed on. But yeah, I found it interesting that they kind of seem to use like where Kirby is in relation to the camera and like kind of shoot they basically hit detect that way versus like where the actual sword hits
Mm-hmm.
the thing.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty cool. Same thing with like I saw there was like a jump where people weren't when were doing testing, people weren't pressing jump at the right time because it was technically about to hit the ground, but it didn't look to the player like it was about to hit the ground. So they kind of changed it to where like you could do, I think they called it a soft landing or soft jump,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
it is pretty cool. And like, look, we're gonna move into what you've been playing. I have been playing the latest Kirby. And I just said it right now, Kirby in the Forgotten Land. I have been playing it, and I do notice that. And I think part of what happens with that, Luis, is that it's a fixed camera angle for the most part. Like it's not like a fully three. Do you think that plays into it a little bit that they can do it because it's a fixed angle? Like you are moving around, right? As you're moving through the stages, the camera changes, but it stays in a fixed position. So do you think maybe that's kind of why they're like we're going in that direction versus if the player has like 3D control of the camera or they can rotate the camera, then they would have to make it right based on like, oh, you better be hitting that thing,
Mm,
or
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it definitely makes it more predictable that way.
yeah.
So like the whatever algorithm they're using, it's giving more consistent results. But I don't know if they would have not picked that solution if you could like turn the camera. But who knows?
So yeah, I mean, for like for Kirby is I didn't play too much, so the only thing I can really say about the game is that I've made it to the final stage, and the final stage is you already made it through in the demo. So there's like an extra like filler stage. It does work kind of like a 3D world. It basically is 3D world, man. Like you're going from level to level, and each like level is like its own little world. Um, but it's I'm having fun with it. I'm still like kind of it's really easy. It's stupidly easy, even on quote unquote wild turkey mode or whatever the fuck they call it. It's
What?
they call it like
Like a
wild mode
bourbon?
or no, they call it like wild wild mode or something like this. It's supposed to be harder. It's not that
That's
much
101
harder.
proof.
101 proof. Yeah. Oh, dude, we used to drink
Dang.
that. I mean, like, you know, not to bring it back, but yeah. So yeah. So at Kirby, I'm having fun with it. I'll probably have more impressions of it next week of that, but it's cool. It's a good little game. It makes me a little sleepy though, and I think that comes down to the challenge, right? I'm assuming that you're like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of hit banging against the wall here a little bit. And you know, besides that, I have been playing Dying Light 2. I've been playing co-op with Dalen. That thing is pretty fun in co-op, dude. And I did have like I did send it out in the chat a little GIF. I like making GIFs. You know, I'm like little GIFs of random crap, mostly NBA stuff, right? Like
Hmm.
LeBron making faces or other players making faces. Curry's another good one. I'm sorry about the Warriors how they're looking right now, Dale. But I really hope for the best though, man. That's a good team. That I don't know what's happening,
Hmm.
dude. And I don't know if you saw, but Kurt got a technical. He got kicked out of the
He
game.
got
He
ejected.
got
Yeah.
ejected, yeah.
Yeah, he got
What the
ejected
hell?
earlier. But Dying Light 2 is surprisingly violent. Me and Dalen were playing it the other day, and we straight up murder one of the bosses. The head came off, the arms came off. I was like, is this necessary? It's really not, but it's a stupidly violent game.
Is this still
Yeah,
necessary?
yeah,
Just backing
exactly.
away.
Exactly. If you guys are listening to the audio, Dale did it perfectly. He's like, we're still banging at the boss, and he's like, I mean, his head and his arms are off now. So it's a really bloody game, but we're having fun with it as far as co-op is concerned. One little wacky thing is, and I hope Dalen's not listening, but he already complained about it. He said that there's no progression on his side of things. So if he joins my game, I'm the only one that's making progress in my story. So for him to make progress, I would have to either join his game or he does the progress himself. So that's I don't like that, man. That's really
That's
wacky.
odd.
That's usually why I invite people into my game, to be honest, because I'm like, oh, I'll get the progress. But it's a little bit odd that they do that. That means like there's no progress. The progress that he's making is the weapons he picks up, like the different things. I guess that's sort of progress. But it kind of sucks, right? That you would have to kind of go back and play through some of the missions. I think a lot of the reviews were correct on this game. That the story is like, it's like kind of meandering. It's not really that great, but the gameplay's cool. The gameplay's cool. We are still breaking our legs out there, Luis. I don't know if you guys. I don't know if we talked about it before in other podcasts, but we
Hmm.
were playing Dying Light, and I'm always
You
like,
weren't
what?
upgrading your legs.
I wasn't upgrading my legs, and I kept breaking them. And I was like, "What about my legs?" And Dylan's like, "I don't know what's going on with your legs. Like, what?" And I was like, "I'm jumping off of 2-3 story building. Maybe that's why I'm breaking my legs all the time." But I'm sure we'll talk about it next week with him when he gets back on. We're still gonna play through it. The other thing is, before I kind of get to what you guys been playing, is I did try out the Far Cry 6 Cross Stranger Things DLC that they did, the Vanishing, and I was hoping kind of we get a little more glimpse of like kind of what's coming up with Stranger Things. I don't know if you guys are fans of the show, um, but there's not too much of Stranger Things. But there is like there's a message that you have to go to one of the islands in Far Cry 6 to get to, and you do go into the Shadow Place, which is kind of cool. You're chasing like Chorizo, which is one of the little characters, one of the little dogs with the he has a wheelchair
Oh, yeah.
wheels. So Chorizo's out there, he's gone missing, and you're kind of chasing him down into the Shadow Place. So there's not too much to kind of glean into the Stranger Things world. But you do see the Chernobog, you see the Kukli, I forgot about those actually. I don't know if you guys have seen the show, but they're like the little evil shadow place versions of what's going on in the real world. But it's a nice little level, man. It was nice and spooky. You don't have all your arsenal, right? You just have like a pistol, and you start picking up powerful weapons as you go through the stages. But as far as like a free DLC, I think it's free from what I understand. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice to kind of be in that world, in that Stranger Things world, even if it wasn't like revelatory, right, for what's coming up.
Does it have any? It has nothing to do with the kids, like the original cast
There's
kids.
nothing,
Because I've only
man.
seen it till like
Yeah.
season 2. I
Yeah.
think. Season 2 or 3. Something.
Yeah,
But
there's no kids. You know, not to be, there's no kids, there's no nothing. There's like the Russianness of the show, the transmissions, the weird transmissions, the weird beam, which a lot of this stuff is kind of cool actually, seeing it in the game. Like being there when they're shooting the beam to open the doors right into the shadow place, and actually you going into the shadow place, but you know, in the Far Cry
I'm
6
sorry,
world.
Carlos. You said it one too many times. Are
What's
you
up, man?
sure it's not the underground
Uh,
or the upside down? I mean,
upside down.
They
Is
called it
down?
upside down. No, I think that's what the colloquially. I think that's what the kids were calling it.
Or they call it different.
I think they call it differently. Maybe if you guys
in the
want to look
game,
it up.
it's
I
the
do.
shadow place.
In the game,
Like
they
in
call it the
Yu-Gi-Oh, the
shadow
Shadow
place.
Realm.
In the game, they do call it the shadow place, but they like literally they call it the shadow place. But you could be, yeah, right. I thought maybe it was the kids
Okay.
just calling it upside down. I do appreciate the call out though. I do appreciate, like, I'm like, maybe you're right. But they, in the game, is the shadow place, and I do like how they do the whole Stranger Things. If you look at the intro when the letters are coming up, the red. You know, they do that for Far Cry, and there's like they split it up into chapters. The DLC is like an hour long, man. It's like an hour long, but there's still like chapter 1,
Oh, that's short.
chapter 2,
Yeah,
and
okay.
chapter 3 or whatever. So if it's still free, I hope it's free. That's how I played it. I know they had a free weekend this past week. But it's pretty cool. I actually was like surprised like how good it was. It was like really nice to be in that world, and it has a nice little finale. But like I said, it really is like a side story, right? It's not anything revelatory as far as the Stranger Things. Kind of like what you were asking, Dale. There's no kids involved. There's no like, you know, as far as I can tell, there's no kids. There's no nothing. There's just you're going into the shadow place or the upside down, and it's cool to see it in the game, right? It's one of those few games that I actually put my headphones on, because I usually kind of don't really wear headphones, but I was like, I'm putting the headphones on to listen to all the wackiness and all that. But Luis, we'll go with you, man. What you've been playing this past week?
Yeah, I went back to 2 games that have been sitting in my backlog for a while that I had already started and just kind of left sitting there. So I went back to Among Trees. I think I mentioned it on the pod like a year ago or something. But yeah, it's basically like think of it like Stardew Valley almost. You kind of go in there, search for resources, craft things so that you can then craft things to get different resources to then craft more things. You just kind of like an endless gaming loop.
What platform is this? Game Pass?
I'm playing it on PC. It's still like in beta.
Oh, yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Oh.
But,
is it 3D or 2D overworld like Stardew Valley? Or
it's a very beautifully stylized 3D game, and I actually have a screenshot I took in the game is my desktop and my computer. But yeah, I'll shoot you guys some images of that. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like super relaxing. They have like a Zen mode and then a mode where you can actually like have wild animals that attack you if you so choose. So I'm like, nah, I'll just turn those guys off.
You know, I don't want to deal with them. I want to deal with them now. Hey, that's what I was gonna ask. I thought it was sort of like a horror-ish type of game, right? Or kind of like tense, or no? It's
no, yeah, the title would definitely kind of. I could see how you could get that from the title for sure, but it's not. It's literally you just walking among trees and like, oh, there's a rock, and like you pick it up.
I gotta say, man,
gorgeous. Actually, I just looked it up. This is really gorgeous.
I gotta say, man, you say Stardew Valley, and I tried like 10 minutes of that game. I was like, fuck this. I'm tied up. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. This is not for me. There's another one though. Starve Us, or what is it? What is it called? We Starve or something like that, or some kind of game. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Don't Starve. That's not like. Is it sort of like that or no? Or am I off? It really is.
I mean, I guess you do have to keep an eye on like your hydration and food. And at some point you can't pick up a companion. There's a fox randomly walked up to me and I was like, I'm gonna tame you. So now it just follows me everywhere.
Cool.
So you have to feed your pet and then also feed yourself and make sure you get hydrated. So like there's been times where I'd like gone to sleep woke up the next day. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to drink some water, and like just run to the river like the next morning. Like
Yeah.
fuck. So,
So that's some
but yeah,
Shenmue
other
shit
than
right
that,
there,
it's a
dude.
very zen,
Yeah,
relaxing like game to just kind of wind down to. Not
that's
quite like
cool.
Kirby. It's not gonna put me to sleep, but
Hey,
uh,
that should be like on the box, dude. Better than Ambien. Is Ambien a sleeping medication? I think that's what it is, right?
Supposedly,
Or melatonin or whatever. I think that's another one. Better than
yeah.
melatonin.
yeah,
But you,
Tonan's better.
yeah, there you go. It's more natural, right? I suppose. What else
hmm
you been playing, at least?
And then back, I'm fully determined to just stop putting this one on the back burner and doing a quest here and there, and I'm gonna beat Assassin's Creed Odyssey finally. So
Okay, okay,
I've dug in some good time over the past week. About 70% done with the main story now at this point. So I'm making some good headway. I feel like I might be done with it by next week, and then I could.
okay.
And now I have to look at my library and like, okay, which one of these other Assassin's Creed games do I
Yeah.
start?
Now,
So
now you do get you so you get into the Assassin or some of them right into some of the Assassin's Creed games. But have you ever played the Far Cry games? The Far Cry games. I was just playing it. I hadn't played
I
Far Cry
actually did
6.
try the free
Yeah.
trial for
Okay.
6.
And what'd you think? What'd you think of it? You're like, no.
I mean, I did try. I did it like an hour or two on Saturday. I tried it out, and I was like, "This is just burning into my Assassin's Creed Odyssey time." So I had to quit the
There you
game.
go. There you
But
go.
yeah, I liked it. Whatever I experienced, I had a crocodile that was following me
Mm,
around. His name's Guapo.
mm-hmm.
He was doing
Guapo.
my
Yeah.
bidding for a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was fun. I'm definitely gonna buy it at some point.
Oh, there you
So.
go. Yeah, Far Cry 6 and I think we did talk about it on our Game of the Year stuff, right? Where I was like, this game is getting no respect at all. Like, I don't know what
Mm-mm.
happened, right? Like, it's it's Far Cry. It really is. It's Far Cry. They're not reinventing the wheel or anything like that. But the shooting's pretty good. Like the different options you have. You have like a special that you basically shoot rockets into the air and they crash down on people. You have different options with that. But yeah, Far Cry's pretty good. I mean, but you're getting Far Cry, but it is sort of like Assassin's Creed in a sense, though, right? Where you're like, okay, get to the tower, take over different posts, and then you can fast travel.
Mm-hmm.
You got like the classic cars, kind of Cuba style, like you only have the old cars, and you have a horse. You have a horse that you can kind of like hang around with. But the Far Cry's pretty good. Like I forgot how good it was. I suppose I haven't really played through it, but when I did the Stranger Things thing, I was like, oh, that's right, I did like this game. This was a pretty damn good game. Deo, I know you didn't put anything in here. Have you not? You haven't played anything, huh? You're kind of focused on other things right
Oh,
now.
sorry, did I
Or
not put?
no, it's all
Let me.
right though. But
I have a couple of things I could
okay, there
talk
you
about.
go. There you
Couple
go.
again. Like Gran Turismo 7 for one. I finally
Okay.
finished like the main campaign, which is like there's 39 what they call menus. So it's like a mission based kind of thing where they handhold your way through the single player to reach these certain goals, like buy three different kinds of Ferraris or beat like this World Cup or something like that. So I've been playing that thing. And I finally finished it. I'm like on the fence whether or not I'll be playing anything more than that because I want to get to my backlog too. Like I have
Okay.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey 2 and I got that on PC for like $7 or something. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
definitely going to go and do this like
Yeah, I'm gonna
over the
play this.
next
Yeah.
2022. Like
Yeah.
I'll put in some time here and there, but that hasn't
Yeah.
happened and it's like the end of March already. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. It is
so,
Gran
but
Turismo 7 it's not easily platinumable, right? It's not a like you have to
no.
do a lot of work, right, to get the platinum on
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like
that's what I'm
Gran
assuming.
Turismo Sport, like the last game, is notoriously like one of the rarest platinums to get for the PlayStation 4
Yeah.
because you have to do so many online stuff and you have to
Oh.
put
Oh,
a
anytime
lot of
that
time.
it's online, unless it's like an online where like play one match. Like some games did it. I think maybe it was Uncharted or something like. I think some of the
Yeah.
Uncharted did it. It was play one online match. Like I could do it. I mean, if you want me to, I can do one match. But some of them are like get to rank 50, max out your squad. I'm like,
Yeah, exactly.
damn,
Yeah,
no,
it's that
no,
kind of same thing, but with cars. So it's
yeah,
like it's not a very universally loved kind of thing.
yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, that's the kind
Mm-hmm.
of deal. I'm not gonna platinum any of those kinds of games. That's not
Yeah,
worth my time.
yeah,
I'd rather play some other stuff,
yeah.
for the time being. But one particular game or franchise that I finally got into is the Ace Attorney series.
Okay,
So
nice.
I got the sale. They had a sale for the trilogy on the eShop. So I've been downloading all this like 3DS and Wii U stuff. So then before they closed the storefront, so I picked up Ace Attorney finally, and I've been playing it. in my truck on my 3DS in my work
Mhm.
truck, and
Yeah.
I just been like, man, this is fascinating as hell. Like
Yeah.
I could
Yeah. Yeah.
adjust,
Yeah.
I could see the evidence. I could like create this picture in my brain, but then the game does certain things within the case that like throws you totally off, and I'm like, this is
Yeah.
wonderful. I love it.
Yeah.
I love when the game fucks with me like
I,
this.
I have played. I think I played like one or two of them, like one or two, maybe to the third game. But it is really cool because the writing is really good, right? Like
It's
that's
good.
that's
Yeah.
what makes it, right? Like the letters are popping up at the right tempo. Like you're like, okay, this is the objective, and there's always like a twist, right? And the twist is usually
Right.
pretty good, right? That's kind of what makes it, right? Unlike the
Yeah.
Batman, where everything's predictable as hell. I know maybe you guys didn't think I was gonna mention that, but the Batman's predictable as fuck. But in Ace Attorney, it's surprising. All the little twists and everything are very surprising, right? Did you
Yeah.
get a collection of them, or you just
So
got the?
I got the entire all the Ace Attorneys on my 3DS now. I
Oh,
have them
okay.
all because they're all on sale. They're like
Yeah,
Capcom collection sale or something like that. So I
yeah,
got them all, and like I can't wait to play the other ones because I was like the writing's so damn good, and it's
yeah.
just like it's so stupid because they're just like, well before they were sprites, but I guess for this trilogy collection or whatever, they're like they smoothed over a lot of the graphics and
Mm,
whatnot,
okay.
but it's just like they're so emotive and like you get the point, like if like someone's pissed off or like is totally lying to you because they're like sweating and everything, it's
Yeah,
kind of
it's
like
very
it's like
cartoony, right? It's very cartoony.
yeah, it's
LA
very
Noir.
cartoony. It's like
Yeah,
LA Noir because like LA Noir did it but in a more convincing way, but this is a much more cartoony way, but I think they could
yeah,
get away with a lot more expressions because of this
yeah,
style.
yeah.
So like, and I can't wait to play more. Like I just put away this like smug SOB that I'm just like, oh, you just love to hate this
Pile-
guy.
Throw
And I
away
was
the
like, oh, I'm
key.
gonna catch you on everything. I'm gonna object on everything you
Yeah,
say. I'm gonna take you down.
yeah,
And then he finds loopholes, like
yeah,
rich people loopholes, which I hate. And I was like, son of a bitch, I'm gonna get you.
yeah.
Like,
Dude, yeah, I mean, there's not a score system, right? At the end of every case,
at
right?
the end, no,
You
no,
don't get like you found every evidence or anything like that, right? It's kind
nothing
of like
like
you
that.
got what
No.
you got. But from what I remember, there's also kind of different ways that it can end, but or it's usually the same conclusion, right? It's like maybe you might have missed a clue or an evidence, but you still were able to catch them or something like that, right? Like
Yeah,
it's still,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
There's some openness in how you get through the cases and how you solve some of them, but
yeah,
like you typically end up at the same, you know, you end up where the story is supposed to be going for
yeah.
everyone. So there's no like special ending or something like that. At least I don't know, like
Now,
right
did you?
now.
I know at some point, I don't know if you're already at the game, but from what I kind of remember is that at the very beginning, it was kind of static. It was 2D images or pieces of evidence. But at some point, they started to introduce like 3D objects where you like turned them around or something. I don't know if
Oh, I
maybe
haven't
you're
got to
not
that.
there yet.
No,
Okay, there you go.
no,
See,
no.
I do appreciate though, Dale. I will say this before we move on to our zinger here. I don't think I've heard the word wonderful said on the podcast before, so I like it. I like it. You're bringing new words. You're bringing new words. But I
Delineate
understand. Delineate,
wonderful.
yes. Delineate it, wonderful. But I do appreciate wonderful because, like, I honestly, that's like the best way to describe those games. Like, they're wonderful, man. Like the
Yeah.
just kind of the if you like those type of games where you're kind of breaking down a case, but it's not annoying, right? Like some of these games can be annoying.
No.
There was one on DS that was called Hotel Dusk. I don't know if you remember that. It's sort of a
I
detective
wanted to get that one.
kind of
Yeah,
like it was so annoying, man. Maybe
that's what I
it's
heard.
super annoying to like, wait, where do I go? And like, oh, and it's I think you couldn't skip some of the dialogue. There's a bunch of stuff that was like really annoying about it. But Ace Attorney is perfect. Of like, no, this is what's happening, and then you go through like you're not in the court the whole time, right? You're like in different like areas,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, you go
you could
outside of the
move
court.
to like where the crimes are or where
Yeah,
like an eyewitness is, and you could like interrogate him there, even though you're not really a detective.
yeah,
But it's
yeah,
funny just pressing them and like pushing their buttons to see like
yeah.
what they'll give up, like any type of tiny morsel of information that they give up to
Give
you.
me more, right?
Yeah.
Do they highlight it? They kind of highlight it, right? When it's something like important, like Ace just said something important.
There- There's like
There's
an
a
audio cue. It goes
okay,
like it's like a light bulb or something going off or
yeah,
something, and that's what you should really look for.
yeah.
But they don't really highlight anything. You should just
Oh,
really
okay.
be paying attention.
Just pay attention to
Uh,
what they're saying. It's like, oh damn, they
yeah,
just
just
broke
because they're
something
reading.
down. So it's
Yeah.
wonderful. I think those are this very apt word for those type of games. If you guys
Thank
haven't
you.
played it,
I appreciate
another thing that might be wonderful, and this is our sticker for the week, is so Xbox is in partnership, I'm guessing, with Sega and Sonic the Hedgehog. They're releasing some furry controllers. There's a blue one and there's a red one. I don't know if you guys have seen these. These are ridiculous. Like, look it up, type in Sonic furry controllers. I did see a meme about them that it was like, this is gonna be me after I play Elden Ring, and they were kind of like, they put it through like that mop system, and they're like, this is gonna be me, and I'm kind of like ringing the controllers because they're furry, they're wacky as hell. They will not be for sale. But they are, quote, with textured coatings reminiscent of the bristly texture of hedgehogs in the wild. The new Xbox wireless controllers come in Sonic Blue and Knuckles Red. The only way I think you can get them, and I don't know if the sweepstake is still up, but you have to retweet the Xbox sweepstakes tweet, or like you redeem some of those Microsoft rewards. Maybe Dale, when you're looking into that Paramount thing, maybe there's some way to get yourself into the sweepstakes. You gotta do it, right?
I want them.
That's so wacky, dude.
People think they're weird, but I think they're freaking crazy as hell. Like, how can you imagine, like, if I had that just sitting like right here, like how weird,
right there, right next to Sonic, right there.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, what a conversation piece that would be. Like, did you make that, dude?
What the hell is this? What am I looking at? What am I looking at?
Feel it. Go ahead and touch this. I did tweet out saying that like if we play fighting games at my house and like you're the loser and if you're in the losers bracket, you have to play with that controller if I win that.
You need to come back. This is how you come back. It's by playing your ass off. By playing your ass off, man. Hey, man. This is the rules of the playing tournament here. All right, you need to play with this. But it's so wacky, man. I do want to get my hands. I hope you win that thing, Dale. And I don't know if we ever meet up. Please bring it with you. I want to see how ridiculous this thing is. It looks so dumb. But I like it, though. I like the fact that, they're just keeping it extra wacky. Some furry controllers, some furry Xbox controllers. Luis, are you going to kind of get into this, man? You're going to retweet some tweets and try to get one of these?
Maybe. I mean, sure. Why not? I'll look it up and retweet it.
I want a furry controller. Well, look, that was the big news. That's the preview. That was the big news for Dale. So Dale was pretty hyped. On the rundown, we always put kind of like what the biggest story is for each of us, and that was Dale's big story. The big story for me is that we kept pretty decent time, I feel. But that's been another episode of Salient Points number 62 for March 29th. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm Carlos Macias again, the Master of Ceremonies. Dale Blas, so I'm up in the bay. Thank you, sir. And we also got Luis Mendez on the Wheels of Steel. We're gonna get that. We're gonna get that edit in time, Luis, on a reasonable time. Mm-hmm. Dalen, where were you? We miss you. Latest.